Hey guys, back with another exciting video. We're going to do an awesome paint job here, so it's definitely worth video. We're going to be doing a fade job from like a black cherry up to a brighter candy red. So I'm going to show you as many steps as I can in this video, trying to keep it short but put the important facts in there. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to fade this from a black into a silver, and then it gets coated with candy red. So I'll show you this paint job though, it's pretty cool. This is a job that we did back in 2003. So this was a black base with candy brandywine flames. Did it in 2003, so it's, 19 years old. So basically, as you can see, the candy flames, candy doesn't really fade, it kind of bleaches. So you can see how they kind of turn a pinkish, this job came in very shiny. So just the candy flames were starting to bleach. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and, the game plan is to seal these in like a medium gray, and then I'm gonna spray the whole thing silver, and then I'm gonna do some over-reduced black, and I'm gonna work it up to the side. I wanna make sure I get past the strut here with the black, so that way it doesn't get hidden and it'll be black and silver. So we want to bring the fade up here. And same with the fender, work that in, make sure there's plenty of brighter candy red here, or silver to start with. And the tank, bring it right over the top. Side covers, we're also going to put a fade. Of course, there's not much room here. But we're going to work in a little fade for the customer. So, so keep that in mind on these candy jobs. They do bleach out after a while. This is 18 years old. 10, 12 years is good, but you gotta make sure you put plenty of candy on them so they get more life out of it. 2 coats, and those things are gonna turn pink pretty easily. So you want to put probably about 4 coats on it. I use UK, I like UK candies from House of Color. They're very rich, good dyes. So some use toners, some use dyes. House of Colors uses dyes. So we're going to fade this up, we're going to clear coat it, and then we're going to sand it, and then we're going to do our flames. So I got a couple different flame styles, 3 actually. This is what I call my innies. This is actually DX320 One Choice Cleaner. There is a difference between pre-paint cleaner and wax and grease remover. This is very mild. So I wipe all my parts down before I paint with the DX320. So anyway, this is my innies. It's where the tips face each other. My outies, of course, I even had these back in, those are my own terminology. It's my own terminology. 2003. So, but this particular job will have a different flame style. I don't do it very often. It's called, I call them claw flames. Basically, it looks like a C. And, the tips come towards each other. And they're pretty cool looking. We're going to add some drop shadows for a 3D look. You put them on, right inside the flame, you airbrush those on. Those take a little bit of practice. So I'm not a known airbrush guy. I've done thousands of flame jobs though. So be sure to watch the rest of this video. It's going to be pretty cool seeing the step-by-step. I'll check back when I do the fade. So when we check back, it's going to be black, fading to silver, and then I'm bringing the silver back in here in the gun and sprinkle some metallics over there. This candy over solid black does nothing. So you gotta have a little bit of metallic for it to show through the candy. So that's what shows up out in the sunlight. If you don't have anything underneath there and it's just solid black, it doesn't show up. So anyway, we'll check back soon, and I appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned. It's gonna be a cool paint job. Appreciate it. Okay, I got the fade all done. So you can see where I did the black into the silver. I didn't do much black on the front fender and really the rear fender either. So that way, the candy, you want the candy, the brighter candy, to really stand out real nice. So plus it's such a small fender that, I just did a little portion of it. The drop shadows will really add to this job too, as you'll see at the very end. So you can see how this rear fender, basically what I did, I showed you before, I told you before, I did the silver, and then I painted the complete fender silver, Then I did the black, worked its way up, over-reduced black. I made sure I got the edges real good with the black, and of course the silver, like back here. You can see how the side covers came out. I did this on purpose. I could have aimed the gun straight down in this body line here, but I left it kind of shadowy. The top edge got black, the bottom edge remained silver. So I thought that would look cool. So, and then what I did, I worked the silver back into it over the black, right at where it faded. So that way it made it a little more subtle. Then I emptied out the silver in the gun and I put what I call black diamond, which is kind of a coarser pearl. So it'll have a real nice spark over the black. You really can't see it in here. I'm sure you'll see it out in the sun. I had a subscriber ask me the difference between a metallic and a metal flake. So basically, my thinking is on a metal flake, they always come in jars. So they're actually flakes. So this is MFO2. If you really wanted this job to sparkle, now would be the time that you added a coat of MFO2 and some base clear, maybe a coat, maybe 2 coats. So underneath the candy, all these sparkles would be, it'd turn whatever candy color you sprayed over it. So, and then a metallic normally comes with the toner system. It's mixed in with other toners, so it provides you with the color that you're trying to make. So there's fine, medium size, coarser, metallics. You get coarser than that, and then they start turning into a jar. So they come in a jar. So MFO2, there's UMFO2, which is mini flake. Actually, this is mini flake. UMFO2 is ultra mini flake, I believe. So this is the black diamond that I used on this paint job. It's fairly expensive. I believe it's like $400 a quart. And it's a coarser pearl. And pearls, what I would describe is basically a transparent metallic. So you can see through it, it gives it a pearlescent look. So they're kind of a coarser pearl. So they should look real sharp. So the next step, of course, is to spray the candy over this, and then we're going to put probably 2 coats of clear. And then we'll let it sit. Today's Thursday. It's about 55 out. Also on your reducers, I use fast reducer on the silver. And then when I did my fade, I switched over to a medium. Even though it's kind of cooler in here, it melts in better than a faster. So I used MR185 for the silver, which is their fast reducer, MR186, which is their medium reducer. So you can see I left quite a bit of silver on the top here. So the paint job looks all right now. But once we put the candy on here, and then the flames and the drop shadows, you'll see this paint job really will pop. So anyway, do another segment shortly here. I'm going to go ahead and put the candy in the gun. That would be UK 11, and then KU 100 hardener, and then I usually use fast reducer, even if it's warm with the candies. It tacks up quicker. You really got to watch your buildup on edges, rivets on the motorcycle parts. Especially if I was doing a car, you got to use 186 or 187, medium to slow. But with faster or slower parts, you can use the fast reducer and candies. Works out real good. First coat will be like a medium wet. Second coat will be pretty much a medium wet. And then I'll either single coat or double coat. I go by feel on these and look. So once it starts looking real rich, I put like one more coat on there, and that will give it longer life, and then I'll clear coat it. So check back soon. I will check back soon, and you will see these parts all candy. Good, as you can see, I got the candy on and the clear coat. So I used UC35 mixed with KU 150. So it came out very, very nice. See how rich it looks? I put about 4 coats of candy on here. You can see how those body lines came out? See how the bottom of it is candy? The top is the black. Should have a cool effect out in the sun. So now when I cleared this, I cleared it a little different than normally I do because, again, the dye is included in the clear on the KU11. So if you put the top coat clear on too heavy, it will actually drag the dye down over like rivets or edges. Edges build up, and you really got to watch that, because nothing looks worse than candy buildup on edges or running off the rivets. So my first coat of clear was very light, and I do it fairly quickly right after the candy. So, because I've had it before a long time ago when I candied and then I went to clear, it actually wrinkled the candy. So using all House of Color products. So now what I do is after I candy it, I let it sit for probably about maybe 5 minutes tops, and then I'll put a very light coat of clear. Now I'm actually spraying over clear instead of the candy once I get that first very light coat on there. And since I do that, I never had any problem with it. So now the next step, we will sand these down, and I'll start adding the graphics. I'll probably do the outline. I'll take a video when I do the outline. Probably the layout, how I'm gonna do the outline, how I'm gonna attack these flames. And then I may do the drop shadows first. This customer opted for what we call our double dose, which is where we'll be done with the actual paint job. And then instead of wet sand and buffing it, we will just go ahead and resand it nice and flat so you can't feel any edges. And then we'll just go ahead and re-clear it again. So that way there's plenty of clear on here. It makes it real nice, makes it actually nice to wet sand and buff. You don't have to worry about feeling any edges or anything like that. So this concludes this segment. So remember, give us a thumbs up, and hope you're enjoying this video. Okay, I got all the parts sanded, ready for the flame job. So I'll be doing that soon. Just wanted to show you what it looked like. I got it completely dull. And these are clear coated. You want to make sure you clear coat all your parts, especially over candy. You don't want to sand directly candy when it's candy only, because you will be thinning out the candy. So you want to make sure you protect that with some clear. I put about 2-3 coats on because I know I'm going to sand it and take off some of that clear. So because I start with 600 grit DA, it's part of the Trizac system, 3M. So this is Velcro back, and then I go to 1000 grit. Now, if you don't do too many jobs, you can basically just do 1000 grit. So that's fine. Just make sure they're completely dull so you don't have any adhesion problems when you spray the flames. So again, I'll be doing the claw flames on these. Just make sure they're completely dull. Make sure you squeegee it off, wipe it down with some 320. That's about it. So I'll be doing this flame job. I'll check back. I'll show you what I got before I completely mask them up, and we'll go from there. So I should have these sprayed today if all goes good, if I'm not too busy. So, and also to wet sand, these are super good bottles. You can if you do a lot of jobs, if you work at a body shop or something, probably a good idea to get one of these Spray Master spray bottles. They hold out very good. They put out quite a bit of fluid. They're kind of pricey. I think about $8 to $10 each. I can't remember for sure. These are kind of old. I got about 4 of them around the shop. Jody has one. Got one for the buffing rack. I got one for the prep rack over there for the wet sand, you know, when we wet sand graphics and stuff, and I got one for my bench. So I'll put some links to all those and any other products I use down below in the description, so you can click on that and purchase anytime you want to. So I will do the flame job and check back then. Thanks for watching. Okay, I got the first part laid out, the front fender. Usually I do the front fender first, just to get me in the flow of things. So I want to show this to you. It took me about 20 minutes to do what you see right here. It's currently 7:30. Actually started about 7:15. But anyway, I wanted to show you a few things. So as you can see, I got my insurance tape on there, like I mentioned in a previous video. This helps keep blow through from going through the very edge of the 16th inch tape. So you want to make sure you get that edge covered real good. See, I'm very close right here. You got to watch that. So you want to leave a minimal edge, just a hairline. So I'll turn this around. I left this open for a reason. Now what I do too, when I put the insurance tape on, usually my wife takes over or whoever I have working here, and they mask up the rest of this. So I usually get as far as putting the insurance tape on, and I'll start it like putting the tape on the center here. But one thing I wanted to show you is I'm putting drop shadows on this, and plus the main color of this paint job is candy red. So I put an X on here on purpose just to show you guys. Normally I wouldn't do this, but just to show you guys that that was my original line right here. Now you ask, why did I add this line? Candy red I want to be the focal point. If I just did this line, this is all going to be silver and charcoal, so that will cover a lot of the candy. So what I did, I started at the very tip, went around, made that oval bigger, and then I gradually worked it back into the flame. And the reason I did that is because this will be masked up, and when I remove all the tape from the flames, this will show more of the candy red. So that will be a nice area for a drop shadow and for the candy red to go through. Also notice this line down the center. So basically this line, I mark it so it shows the center of the fender. Because when I do the front of the fender on one way, I have it like this. So I use that as a guide on how close I can be for the other side to be. So that way I give it a balanced look. So that line's important. Usually one way I do, like I said, I hit the fender backwards, and the other way, which in my case, I'll be doing forward on this side. So I know to stay about that far right here. It not necessarily has to be symmetrical, but like I said, it looks balanced. So once I get the insurance tape on, then we start filling in here. So usually I put a piece of tape on all the ovals, and then I go around and border along the insurance tape. So now if you have two people working, so like I'll do this part, it's a good idea for the next person, maybe use a different color tape to, even though I got this covered, to put one more piece on top of here. So in a different color. That way they know each one of these will have a yellow piece of tape. So if you do it by yourself, you can use the a different color tape, or just make sure you cover it again. And the reason you do that is because you got to watch blow through. When you have it just like this is my first piece, like this area right here, paint will go through there. A little bit of overspray, we call that blow through. So if I put one more piece of tape on here, that will prevent that. So, because blow through, you really got to watch for that, especially on a job like this. It's not a black base, so you got a candy red job going on here. So you got to really watch blow through, and it's just good insurance. It's all about making sure that you don't have any gaps, making sure it's airtight as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this. I still got the other parts. So it'll probably take me about an hour and a half, 2 hours to do the rest of the parts. So anyway, I'll go ahead and add my insurance, which will only go, obviously, along here. This is irrelevant. This won't be used. So I made this area larger. So in the overall scheme of things, once I pull all the tape off, this will be a larger oval. So anyway, this is how I wanted to show you these tips and tricks. So I'll show you what the complete set looks like once I get it flamed out, once I get it all laid out. Okay, I got the flame job all laid out. Got all my insurance tape on there. My 1/4 inch 26355 is the part number. 1/4 inch masking tape from 3M. So it's 825. So it took me just over an hour to do all these parts. Side covers, tank, 2 fenders. So it's I believe a VTX. So anyways, I wanted to show you guys a couple things. So as you can see, all my guide tape, what I call guide tape. First tape I put down when I grab this tank, I put one right down the center. And then I do this. These are like my stay away areas. Now this would be for a Harley tank. What I'll actually do on this tank, I just wanted to show you these guides, is add one more flame down the center here. Because this is a metric bike and it just has a dash. There's no bib or anything like that, full dash or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and add one more flame. But if this was a Harley tank, most of the time on the Harley tanks, I can just add these two right here. But it's nice to add one right down the center. You can visually use that as a space to guide on your space in between those three pieces of tape. So you'll also notice these other guides that I got on here. So I did this side first, the right side of the tank. So I actually did these ovals first, just to make sure those are equal. So I had these three lines, and this, I made sure the spacing was real close right here and right here. So then I basically did this whole side. You can see right there. And then I had to match up the other side. So what I do is put my finger right here, my right index finger, and then I'll come over here and I'll put my left index finger right there, and I'll mark that area right there. And that way I know when I'm doing this line right here to go to that guide that I got on there. You can see I got one down here, and also basically got one down at the side there too. So I just put my fingers, my index fingers, I'll put my right one right there, come over, mark it. If I know it's a 1/4 inch from my index finger or where my measurement was, I know to just go to there. I try not to butt it completely up against that tape. You know, running my oval up against that. Sometimes you go over it and it's a pain in the butt. So I just get it 1/4 inch within there, 1/8 inch on that one. So as long as it's close. So visually, I mean, it's very symmetrical on the tank. So the fenders, I did not make symmetrical. So I showed you in the previous segment how it looks balanced. So it's not too heavy on one side. Same with this one too. It's nice and balanced. As you can see up here, I got an oval that goes right by the seat. So one thing you want to consider too, if they have a solo seat or a standard seat. So this one I was unsure of, so I went ahead and set it up for both. So if they have a seat that goes back to here, it still look good. You still got your flame licks coming out from underneath the seat. If they have a solo seat or they switch back and forth, obviously it's going to look great. So, because we got flames underneath there. I didn't want to just do something to here and then have a big old blob of silver or charcoal underneath there. So anyway, we're going to be masking these up. We got lots going on today. Going to be masking them up. This one gets an outline color. So I will be doing this one backwards. I have a video showing how to do the pinstripes first. This one I'll also include a segment of how I'm doing the pinstripe first for 95% of us that don't know how to pinstripe. It works out great. I've done numerous jobs like that where I do the pinstripe first and then the actual flame color. So stay tuned. I appreciate a thumbs up right now, and more cool tips and tricks coming up. Okay, my wife got all these masked up. Probably right here. She probably could have put a piece of 6-inch paper there instead of all tape. But it definitely helps me out. So again, you want to make sure you do a good tape job. She does an excellent job. Takes her a little while, but she does an excellent job. So here's the other parts. Side covers, front fender, rear fender. So these flames will be a silver metallic and the outline will be a charcoal. So I will be doing the outline first. So what I'm going to do, the game plan is to spray like a white and black mix, so I get like a medium gray. And then I'm going to spray the charcoal over that, let it dry, and then you'll see how I do the outline. I'll do the outline first, fill it in with the silver, and then pull all the tape off, clean any blow through, and re-clear the fenders, re-sand them again. We'll do some drop shadows. So I wanted to show you guys a job I did Finished last week. By the way, that job is going to California. And this one I just finished. So this one is actually going to California. We are in Florida. So it came out real nice. Candy blue flames, candy blue base, bar and shield. A lot of depth to it. Looks beautiful out in the sun. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and spray the gray on there. I'll spray the outline color, and then I'll check back. I wanted to show you guys the gray that I came up with to go underneath the color, the charcoal color. So I actually got this a little bit too light, but keep in mind, you're only putting this coat on to kind of jumpstart the color that you're putting on for the outline color. And that way it doesn't take as much, you know, as it normally would if you did not have this. So if you notice, I just put on a very, very light coat, just enough to say, well, it was gray. So this is the color that the outline will be. So it only took like 2 coats to cover that gray, so it covered very, very nice. And I cannot stress enough how much easy you need to go on both the color underneath the ground coat and this color. That gray that I put on here was not sealer, just a gray that I made up with a mix of white and black. So it covers real nice. I'll let this dry for probably an hour or so, and I'll start the outline color, or start outlining this color. So side covers, I also got the charcoal on already. So I'll show you how I do the pinstripe outline first on these flames. So I will do another segment after this. I just want to show you the ground coat underneath the charcoal, so I'm going to finish that, and I'll check back soon. Okay, we get all these parts outlined, got them in the booth, so we're ready to spray some silver now. So a couple things I wanted to show you. I left this one untaped without my insurance tape on purpose. What I wanted to show you is things to look for. Basically what you do is butt this 1/16 inch against the very edge of your original tape. So one thing you gotta watch is this right here. If you get a little gap, like that right there, by the time you take off all the tape, you're gonna end up with a wider than 1/16 inch. So you gotta get it directly buttered up against the edge. Little gap right like that will make that tape, or make the stripe wider. So, and then of course I got all my green tape. That's my insurance tape. That keeps all the blow through from going in between. Even though they're buttered up against here, there might be just the slightest hair right there, and this tape will prevent that from going through there. So, and also when you're choosing outline colors, a solid color is much easier to work with than a metallic if you have any issues. So if the customer's undecided, try to lean them more towards a solid color, maybe like a medium, in this case a medium solid gray, or even a color with a lot of contrast, like a grabber blue or a red color, something like that, solid. So, and it's more forgiving on a solid color on the very edge. If you get too much of a buildup of a metallic, you will see the edge and it'll look kind of funky in the sun. So you got to be real careful with that. And also you want some good contrast. If you got a couple colors that are real close, like in this case, the silver and the charcoal, make sure there's good contrast. Even though in the can, they're quite a bit separate. By the time you get done spraying it and you take off all the tape, you might go, wow, that's very close to each other. You want to make sure there's good contrast, not real close, because it's kind of, it defeats the purpose of putting an outline on there. So have some good contrast, pick some good colors. It's only a 1/16 inch wide. So I always use 1/16 on motorcycle parts. Again, on cars, I'll use 1/8 inch. So 1/16 is just too small on cars. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and spray the silver on this, and we'll pull the paper, clear coat it, then I'm gonna resand it and do a drop shadows. So thanks for watching. Okay, I got all the tape off. It's about 4 o'clock today. I forgot to say the time earlier. So it took almost all day. I did squeeze in a spot job on a tonneau cover or a topper for a truck. So I know I've showed you guys before, but I want to show you what I do once I get all the tape off. I have two methods of cleaning up the edges. So the first is just take a nice wipe all. This is a wipe all. Or take a paper towel or a rag or something like that. And see how the edges are like that? And just, I can't rub as hard as I normally do because I can't hold the tank. But you can see that it cleans the edges up nice. So my other method is to take a piece of 1.5" tape and just wrap it around your fingers. And just tap it along the edges here. You can go along all the edges. And you can see how it cleans it up. And actually these were pretty nice to start with, so this really cleans them up. Look, be forewarned, if you start pulling paint off, stop immediately, go back to method 1 that I showed you, and that should be good enough to get you clear coated, and you can go from there. So I wanted to show those to you again. So you want your edges cleaned up. So, you know, out in the sun, you don't want them to have that nasty looking edge. And the previous segment I mentioned it's cool to have a contrasting outline. Well, it's also cool to have a close color to it, to the flame color, because it makes it easier to cover. You get less paint buildup. And overall, it just makes it real nice. So I'm going to clear coat these tomorrow morning. I'm going to do, there's some blow through right there. Now, since I've clear coated this, in previous videos, I even clear coat black. 15 years ago when we were slamming out flame jobs and just doing base coat and going immediately to flames. And I had 5 employees and we were just really pumping them out, 10 a week. We bypassed the clear coat. I had a real good masker. He took over from the airbrush, or he did the airbrush. I did all the layouts. So anyway, we clear coat them now. It makes it real easy. All you gotta do is wipe it down with thinner, so it's clear coated. A couple on the back there. You want to make sure you get these before you clear coat, because once you clear coat, that's it. So anyway, clear coat. And it should look real nice, and then we're going to resand, do the drop shadows. Got all the parts cleared. They came out really, really nice. So you can see all the depth. So I still got a few touch-ups on this one. I just decided to go ahead and clear coat it, and then once I resand it, I'll go ahead and a little touch-up right there on the tip. It's like 3 touch-ups, maybe 4. But stay tuned, because the next step is the drop shadows, and that really adds a 3D look to the flames, adds more depth to the paint job. So I'll be doing that next step, so stay tuned. I have all my drop shadows airbrushed on, so a couple tips for you guys is especially on this fade job, on the very bottom, where it starts turning into the darker color, I made sure that my drop shadows are a little darker than the ones in the red, so they stand out a little more in the sun. Now, of course, if that was black on the bottom, faded into black, you wouldn't see the drop shadows, so really wouldn't have to put them on there. But being in the sun, this turns to a black cherry. We want those drop shadows to still have the 3D effect. So normally for the black, for the drop shadows, I mix it 1:1 and just add a tad bit more of the reducer. So just fog it on. I use a Iwata HPC, I believe it is. It's an old airbrush. I've had it for probably 15 years, but it still works great. So another thing, I found a couple blow-throughs. So where the silver blew onto the, before I clear coated, it blew onto the candy or the black cherry. So what I had to do was go ahead and sand through that area where the blow-through was. And that's how you remove that. So I missed it where I could have easily just wiped it off with lacquer thinner. I had to go through that clear coat, which was really not that hard. I started with 320, and then I just, once I got close to the end, once I almost went through, I started using 1500. So got it nice and smooth. You want to do that before you drop shadows too. So try to catch them all. One of them I did forget to get before I did the drop shadow. So I had to remove that drop shadow, which is fairly easy. Just take lacquer thinner and wipe that off. And then I proceeded to go ahead and go through the clear and remove the blow through. So anyway, I'm getting ready to clear coat these. So it should be done in about 45 minutes or so. And I'm gonna do one more segment where I have them all wet sand and buffed. And then I will, actually on this set, we gotta do the, what I call the double dose. That's where we sand them, re-clear them again so they're completely flat before we even wet sand and buff them. So I'm getting ready to clear coat them. Once I'm done wet sand and buffing, I'll go ahead and do one more segment for you guys. So I hope you like this. Hope you're learning some tips and tricks. So appreciate you guys watching. Okay, wanted to show you guys the final result. See how deep and rich the candy is. See what the drop shadows did. It really gives a 3D look to the flames. See the side here in the sun, the black cherry look. So anyway, be sure and give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'm by myself again doing all these jobs, so it's going to be hard to put out videos, but I'll do my best. Appreciate you subscribing, and again, thumbs up. I appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Thanks again.